Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Alright everyone, welcome to War Room episode number 21. We've got a pseudo-fancy new overlay that hopefully will be getting improved from here and from this point on out. I might not even keep this one for next week, who knows. But tonight we've got kind of a new episode. We had some good discussions on Reddit, all praise to Serious Table, about how the community wanted the episodes to go and in terms of structure and flow and stuff like that. So we've taken your advice and hopefully we're taking it in a better direction. Siri had a very good idea about what he wanted to talk about this episode, something that he thought that the community would enjoy. So we ran with it. So first off, let's introduce our guests for tonight's show, starting with, as always, Siri.
Hello everyone, I am Siri Waffle from Steel Jaguar Gaming, co-host Light Pilot, and yeah. Magician, why don't you go next?
Alright, I'm the Magician from Steel Jaguar. I want to make drop callers, and I've been playing this game since it first came out.
Alright, next you got Grimlock.
Hey guys, Grimlock1 here from BSK.
Thanks for being on, man. And then Black. I think this is your first time, isn't it?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Black Alexador from SWK, longtime member. Nice to sit down with a round table of friends here.
It's good to have you on, man. Alright, Siri, I'm going to let you take over for this one since you won it. This was your idea, and tell us what tonight's about.
Okay, this is just sort of a topic that's been on my mind. Glory has her own little domain on the forums where, well, it's not really her domain, but she's a lead contributor, and we spend a bunch of time discussing sort of motivation and the competitive mindset. And I realized that's something we haven't really gotten in depth with on the War Room. And so I wanted to get a panel of just leaders and prominent players from currently arguably the top 3 units. Magician from SJR, Grimlock from BSK, Alexador from SWK, and just try and compare the sort of approaches that people are taking to get to this level. And so this is going to be focused on playing to win, the competitive mindset, and just everything that goes into that. But first up, we sort of have to define what is playing to win, and what goes into it. And I want to ask our guests their opinion on what playing to win is, and let's start at the bottom. Alex, why don't you go first?
Yeah, pick on the new guy, eh? That's what's up.
That's the plan.
So we're talking about what is playing to win to me and what overall elements go into it. I think it has to be broken down to a few different things. I think the first thing, as a player, you have to figure out what the meta is. You know, you have to look at a game and say, is this something I want to take that seriously, and what is currently owning house at the time? You know, we have tons of resources to do this, forums, like internally within your own groups, or even places like Reddit, you know, our nice little corner of Reddit we have going on there.
Praise Serious Table.
Yeah, I'll praise Serious Tables, right. But yeah, you have to start there, and then once you hit that point and start looking at some builds, you have to think to yourself, well, do I want to keep this at a pug level and hit a ceiling, or do I want to take it to a next level and look towards comp, you know, and go into the forums. There's lots of resources that direct you to TeamSpeak, and then from there you can really, you know, scope the field and try to find a unit you can connect with.
Okay, so on the basic mechanical part, it's about getting the right builds and getting a team.
Yeah, realizing your skill as a player individually and seeking out, you know, how to better improve yourself through skill and through monitoring other players.
Okay. Grimlock, what's your take?
You know, I really think it just starts with that mindset of, you know, do you want to be the best, or will you settle for, you know, being number 2 or number 3? And, you know, that's the thing that, for me, I get the greatest satisfaction out of beating other players and beating other teams. And it's nothing against those guys. It's just, you know, I want to be that top dog that everybody wants to beat. And I think having our 3 teams here, SJR, BSK, Swords, you know, I'd even throw Lords in there. You know, I consider all of us right up there in the skill level. And so when we're able to beat you guys and vice versa, I really think that's my motivation, is being able to compete with you guys.
So when you're getting out there and quote-unquote beating the best, that you get a great level of satisfaction from it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun rolling pugs, but really competing in the 12-man queue, and even just open queue 12-mans is sometimes not even that great. You know, I really enjoy the leagues. I enjoy what, you know, SJR and what Merrick is doing in promoting this game, because right now there's really not much. I'm not very enthused about even 4-mans.
Okay. Meg, how about you?
Well, when it comes to playing to win, I have to lean a little bit on David Searlin, who wrote the book, literally, Playing to Win. And his definition is one I've used. It's basically eliminating all those mental constructs, mental barriers that you put up in between you and winning. So you take the game, you figure out how to win it, and you play, and you do anything that you can do within the game to win. Now, it doesn't mean you're cheating. Doesn't mean you're using hacks, anything outside. If there's glitches that are banned by tournaments, you're still going to play within the rules. But you're not limiting yourself and saying, you know, I don't like PPCs, so I'm not going to use them even if they're best weapon in the game. You're going to use them, and you're going to play at the highest possible level that you can reach, and just don't make up excuses and all that stuff that kind of keeps you from becoming the best.
Okay. Raffle, let's get your opinion, since...
I don't know, for me, in terms of playing to win, my goal is always, you know, be the best I can at whatever I'm doing. So if I'm participating in a league where there are restrictions, or there are not restrictions, you know, Magician said, be the best you can be, I just try and be the best I can in whatever situation I'm in, and that applies to whatever team I'm leading to. So, like, I'm leading a 2-2-8 team for MRBC. A few of you have played against me. My goal is always to do the best I can. And so even if I'm losing, or even if I'm not doing well, the goal is to improve and learn from your mistakes. So for me, playing to win is using any knowledge you have and transmitting that into a better strategy for next time, or any improvement you can.
Just going back to touch on what Matt was saying about mental constructs, I think that's a really good point, because when you start really playing to win, you have to realize that it's not about personal flavor anymore. You really have to break down builds and start looking at what's on top, and that's what you have to force yourself to use. Like it or not, tools are tools, and if they're putting out the numbers, that's what you need to use.
Yeah, especially when you get to something like, I would go ahead and say I was not a good jump sniper at all, like back when I started playing competitively. I just wasn't.
Fucking hated Raffle on your team.
I was like, it just wasn't something I did. Like, I was a good pilot, I had good aim, I had good positioning, but I just didn't jump snipe. And I was like, I'm trash for what these people need me to do. So I just practiced. I practiced for like weeks straight. I think the only 2 mechs I ran were a Cataphract and a Highlander. And so it's just, you need to get in that mindset of, I'm here to do what I need to do to win. So that's how I feel.
So you put in a lot of time to do this, and Grimlock touched on why he wants to play to win. But Meg and Alex, your answers were more sort of the actual definition. So let's go in reverse order this time, but what is your motivation to play to win, to be competitive? Raffle?
Oh, for me, it's that there is such a good competitive... This is a fairly good community. The competitive community of MechWarrior is a fairly good community. Most of the people talk to each other, hang out, have fun together, and so there's not necessarily like any nemesises or anything like that, but I respect all of my fellow teams, and so when I go into a match against somebody who I know is better than me, my motivation is that I want to beat these people that I respect. I want to show up is not necessarily a great word, but I want to be present. I want to be able to. You want to be able to prove yourself against your friends and your competitors. So, for me, that's what I find motivation from.
Meg, how about you?
Well, I think the process of trying to become the best at a game, both as a player and a member of a team, and your team becoming the best, is where I get enjoyment out of gaming. I mean, I don't play most games to win because I'm not willing to put the kind of effort that you have to reach those levels. But when you find a game that you love, like MechWarrior, it's that's the way I want to play it, and I don't want to play it any other way.
Okay, Grim, do you have anything to add on to your earlier statements?
I mean, not really. I would say that effort is a really big part of it. You know, I'm sure all of us in this room have dedicated a fair amount of time to this game, and I feel like not playing it to win is a disservice. And I feel like we're really at the forefront for promoting it. Honestly, without the competitive community champion some of the causes, I really don't see PGI budging too much on what they're trying to do with the game.
It's a good thing that this game doesn't have an hours logged counter like all Steam games do, because I don't want to know how big that number is.
Well, you could technically go into the stats page and add up all of the time played there, but even that wouldn't be accurate because it doesn't have mech lab time.
Or
Talking about time played. Time played for just yourself, Raffle?
Yeah. Hold on.
I think I was near 8 days playtime on my Cataphract alone, the 3D.
I'm gonna just look up map playtime.
Alex, what's your motivation?
I have to go back and agree with Madge. The process, man, that's what it's all about. You know, figuring things out, coming up with concepts with teammates who, you know, take a similar passion and interest in every the goals we're moving forward to. And obviously trying to get that fucking crown, you know, trying to sit up on top, but there's a certain team that just won't budge in this game.
So, if any of you had to sell it to somebody who hadn't played competitively, hadn't tried to just pursue the win, how would you convince them that this is something worth doing? Anybody feel free to jump in.
Okay, so I'm a competitive person. Just as I play, 2 sports in college. I do this. I like to just be competitive, but one of the things that always was rough for me was that there's a really negative aspect in a lot of teams where if you lose, people take it super hard. That's really hard to come back from. And so for me, I feel like playing a video game competitively is one of those things that people can separate it enough from who they are that when they lose, they don't take it super rough. I mean, it's fine if you expend more effort on this than others, but for me, it's when I lose, I'm well, shit, I lost, but here's what I can do better. Whereas when I lose in a real sport, it's harder for me to separate that from I lost, therefore it's a part of me. So that would be a pitching angle for any of the people I know that play sports, but it's just fun to take pride in what you do at a high level. Going into a match and seeing people that you know, people that win leaderboards in championships over the game, and being I can play at the same level as that person, and my team can play at the same level as that person. That nothing beats that for me. You just have this sense of I am one of the best people in the world at what I'm doing. Why wouldn't I try and get even better? I don't know. It's how I feel about it. Sounds kind of cheesy.
Don't worry about it. Anyone else want to chime in?
I mean, I would say, it comes down to there's two different mindsets. You got that casual player that derives their fun from just, hanging out, being one of the guys, going into those pug games, or even, 12 mans, which is a bunch of randoms and just blowing up mechs. And then, you got people that I would like say like ourselves that, you know, we want to compete. We have that competitive mindset. You know, Raffle said that he's played sports. So, I mean, if you're playing sports, you know, you're just sort of already at that predisposition for being a competitor. So it's just a mindset. You know, I've played in both casual and competitive communities, so just got to make that decision. I don't know if there's one way to really pitch it to somebody. You know, you can try pitching it to a casual person, and they might not go for it.
Something I've noticed... Oh, sorry, go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, all I was going to say was there are a lot of... something I've run into, at least, is that there are casual players that do, like, think they want to be competitive, but really the thing that narrows it down for you is trying. Like, trying to play in a competitive match, or trying to, you know... I know, SJR, you guys have a ridiculous practice schedule. I don't know what the rest of you are like, but trying to stick with whatever practice schedule you're set to, or trying to play only so-and-so mech, stuff like that. It's really a matter of trying it out. I don't think that it can just be like pitched to somebody and then they can make up their mind. Because I've seen a lot of casual players that think that they want to do competitive play until they try it and they're like, this is just way too much work. And then vice versa, I've seen casual players who get thrown in a competitive 12 randomly and just love like the intense teamwork and how focused everyone gets. So,
well, think about how large the gaps are going from solo play to 4-man play, from 4-man play to 12-man play, and then from 12-man play to comp play. You know, like those are completely different levels of play. And you can even play them differently yourselves, you know. When you're playing in any of those mindsets, you have lesser restrictions or borders or guidelines depending on how low you go on that totem pole.
I mean, I would also say to carry off what you said, Raffle, is that, you know, it's a level of commitment and time. You know, some casual players do want to play competitively, but they just don't have, you know, that time to put in and really get into the game. You know, I know SJR practices just as much, if not more than we do. I mean, we practice 3-4 nights a week, 3 required. So, I mean, just that level of time and commitment can sometimes scare away those casual players. And that's been my previous experience with it, especially back when I was part of Antares. You know, it was both casual and competitive. And it was just the difference between those committed that had time and those that didn't.
Okay, I'm going to cut this topic off unless there's anything else.
I'm good.
Okay. Raffle, you mentioned sort of people trying to get into it, or at least thinking that they want to get into it. That sort of brings to the next topic, where is playing to win necessarily cutthroat and vicious and quote-unquote try hard? Or, like, is there any merit to those negative stereotypes and descriptors?
So, in my head at least, I'll start off because I've taken both sides of this coin. So I used to play MOBAs, and not at all seriously. I just did it to have fun. Like, I wanted to win, but I wasn't like, I'm going to be the best MOBA player ever. So I was always that dude after a game who was like, dude, fuck these tryhards, this is such bullshit, like blah 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 blah. And then I come into MechWarrior and I'm like, I am that tryhard. So I understand both sides of it. It is rough running into people who are trying a lot harder than you when you're trying to have fun. But at the same time, you can't blame somebody for that. So I don't think it's negative or positive. It just depends on who you are. Because like, if you're a casual player, you're playing to have fun. You're playing to be casual. Like, that's what you're there for. And if you're a competitive player, you're playing to be competitive. And sometimes people like of different types run into each other. Like, I'm of the mindset that if I'm doing something, I should be good at it. So that's how I play. But there are people who just, you know, they get home from school or work and they had a bad day and they're like, I'm going to get in my Locust 3M because it's fast and tiny and I think it's fun, and I'm going to go play a couple games of MechWarrior. And if I drop in that game, I'm going to be like, dude, fuck you, you brought a Locust? Like, this is such bullshit. But, like, I shouldn't. And, like, I don't, that's why I don't, say anything in chat. Like, I'm very specific not to be a dick in chat because I know that there are people out there who just want to be enjoying themselves.
Right, you have to make that separation.
And so that applies in a pug mentality, but I think that... And it's hard, because the 12-man queue should be for everyone. That's sort of like what it's there for. But because there are so few 12-man teams, I would rather say that the 12-man queue is a fairly competitive place. And while you are capable of having fun, I know, like SJR, you guys do fun drops on Mondays and stuff like that, and I've taken fun builds into the 12-man, but getting mad at a 12-man for trying hard at the current stage of the game is a little bit stupid, in my opinion, because if you're at all in touch with the community, you know that the 12-man is the place where competitive players hang out. So, that's my 2 cents.
I'm going to throw the next answer off to Magician and then answer the phone. So.
Alright. So, yeah, it's cutthroat. I mean, when you're playing competitions, certainly. When it comes to the open games, people complain about, like meta horrors and whatever else other terms they want to throw out there, but, I mean, that's because it's gaming, and in gaming you're going to get all types of players put into the same box. It's not like other sports, right? If you're playing basketball at collegiate level, yeah, you might play some pickup games and have some fun there, but it's not like you're playing against a bunch of kids who are just picking up the ball for the first time. But in gaming, that's exactly what happens. So you're going to have this clash of personalities, people with different goals, people doing different types of things, and whatever. That's just part of it. And I don't let it get to me. I'm gonna play different kind of mechs. Sometimes I'm gonna play the meta mech. Sometimes I'm not. But when it comes to actual competition, I mean, that you don't really hear it too much so far in MW. I don't see it too often. I think most people kind of respect the teams that are playing to win versus teams that are not. Personally, I'd rather play the teams that want to play to win, because it's not that much fun to play teams who aren't really. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna do whatever you can do to win. So of course it's gonna be a little bit cutthroat.
But it's not, you wouldn't say it's poisonous. Or in some games it is, but it's not a requirement.
Bad mentalities are poisonous. Sorry, I know you're asking Magician, but like, assholes are poisonous. Competitive play is not.
Well, okay. When people are bitching in a open game at people and telling them they're idiots and they suck and all that stuff, I mean, it doesn't really make it any much more fun for anybody. I mean, it's not really actually going to change the result. It's just people whining, and I do it myself. So, because you're frustrated, like you're trying really hard, you are being a tryhard, and other people aren't. So of course it's going to be a little bit annoying. You just kind of have to keep it and just be like in perspective that it doesn't matter. Save it for the real drops.
So are we talking about this from the perspective of a pug versus comp player? Are we talking? We can bring this to another level and bring it to like comp versus comp, trash talking it and similar such light, What's the difference really?
Anyone?
I'm actually surprised at the lack of distress between all of these teams. This is a pretty fucking friendly community, guys.
It is, and so that's what my comment was about. It's assholes, not it's assholes, not teams or competitive players. Because
but competitiveness spawns like a certain attitude and mentality that usually dictates, a little bit of arrogance behind certain people who like to be more vocal. But even in this community, after 2 years, it still hasn't. Not many teams have stayed around who've been like that.
It's true, and I think that part of that is linked with a negativity towards the game, and this is completely off topic, and you guys can feel free to cut me off, but part of the reason that teams that nobody likes don't stay around is that teams that nobody like are teams that have a bad attitude about the game. They're the teams that are like, well, we lost that because the game is broken, or something like that. And so I think that that's part of the reason that a lot of very like-minded people are still around. Because in a free-to-play kind of game where there are no prizes, you're not there's nothing to gain from this other than personal respect for each other. So people that don't enjoy the game or think that there's something wrong with it are going to leave. And people with like-minded attitudes are going to stay in the competitive scene. At least that's how I think about it.
Okay. Speaking of, Bradley USM in chat makes the point that teams that are full of jerks implode. And from what I've seen, this generally holds true. So what sort of quote buy-in or / expectation setting do you get from members of your team? For example, we in SJR cultivate a very certain mindset, and more often when we reject somebody, it's out of their personality not being a fit than their skills being insufficient. So let's go with Grim to start us off.
Well, I mean, for us at BSK, really, we pull people in, we have them post their stats. You know, that's the first true test. Then we'll, you know, give them the opportunity to drop with us. You know, and just like you said, Siri, I mean, you just got to mesh. I mean, that's the biggest part of this being a team game, especially one where, you know, like unlike other games out there, there's respawns and such or objectives. You know, MWO really punishes you if you're not a cohesive unit. And something that I've noticed about SGR is you guys, you know, really have that core, and it's something that we're trying to do. And, you know, it's just about, again, that level of dedication and time and commitment. You know, obviously we don't want to recruit jerks. Unfortunately, we did make an exception for Bradley.
Oh, yeah. See, damn it, I was going to make that joke about Siri. I was going to be like, I mean, I know a lot of teams are really specific about, I mean, obviously, SGR has made exceptions with taking on Siri and stuff like that. Damn it, you stole my joke.
Honestly, I mean, I'm probably the biggest jerk in BSK, so obviously sometimes you could break the rules a little bit. But that's, you know, we you know, it's all about the person, you know, and sometimes, you know, sometimes jerks can't be that bad all the time.
Alex, how about SWK?
Talking about what kind of expectations we have
for the players you recruit. Yes.
For new recruits.
Or just for your team members in general. Like, what sort of standards are you upholding?
SWK is kind of weird when it comes to standards of everything. I'm not surprised at that, yes. You know, friendship goes a long way for us. Skill goes a long way for us. If you have a mix of both, great. If you've got one more than the other, we'll try to work with you to see if you can find that balance. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You know, sometimes, depending on our mood and the season, the vetting process can be extensive or lenient. You know, it just depends on so many variables. But friendship is obviously the key part of it.
Is it magic?
No!
Tony would say it is.
I'll kick you off the show, Siri.
Am I being set up for something?
I can't do that, that's true. No.
I thought Swords had a requirement to like Twinkies.
I was actually going to go out and get a box of Twinkies before the show, but I didn't have enough time.
I should just start making that a requirement of every SWK member who's on. You have to be eating Twinkies.
Okay, Magician, back me up here.
Alright.
Not the biggest dick NA.
I guess like I'm an old gamer now. I can actually claim that title because when we were building SJR, one of our first things was we didn't want jerks. Like we didn't want people who would be rage induced and stuff. I am a recovering rageaholic. MechWarrior 4. All I would do is I would just scream at people as a drop commander. I'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing, you fucking moron? Get to the fucking point, shoot that motherfucker, why isn't he?" You know, I just like much louder, much more fierce, where my veins in my head were popping out type anger. And yeah, we win, but you know what happens is that's how you win today, but that's not how you win in the next week. It's not how you win for a month or a year. It just breaks people down. It's a high level intensity, it's negative, it's not fun to be around, it's not good. You don't actually improve in that way very much. It's just a way of quickly motivating people. So we tried to avoid that. You can watch a lot of the top esports teams, and if you find that one of those teams has an asshole, they're probably not going to stay around very long. You can look at teams in Counter-Strike days that Shaguar joined. Yeah, sure, they won for a little bit, and then they disappeared. There was a few other guys that were much like that. Top, very, very talented players, but they broke up teams because they couldn't keep their mouths shut, and and nobody wanted to play with them.
Even solo games, like even StarCraft has people like that. I'm sure they're good, and sure they like stick around for a little bit, but they eventually go away.
Rafael, do you have anything to add about 228?
So we have a casual and competitive aspect, which makes it a little bit different. But as a general rule, even with casuals, you don't want assholes in your casual team. It doesn't make sense. Like, you just don't want to hang out with assholes. And on occasion, we've made exceptions for skill. Like, if we get a really, really good player, we're like, we can't really, like, pass this dude up. But currently, I think all of the people that we've made exceptions for are gone. Because eventually we just get sick of them. and we're just like, I can't take this guy anymore, and he's like bad for our team, he's bad for everybody around us, you know. And they eventually catch the vibe of the people around them who feel like they're not being, like, if you're hanging out with people who don't like you, you know it, and you're eventually going to leave. And so that happens if you're playing with jerks. And so it's sort of self-weeded out, but we're not as proactive about it as we could be.
Okay. So Rage, Magician touched on this, was not a good factor when there's quote-unquote tough times. So how do you handle those rough patches, the short term and the long term? For example, in a match where you're down 2-0, semifinals or finals, you're facing elimination, and you have to rally. Or in the long run, how do you handle just sort of your performance in the last month has been subpar and not up to your expectations? And how do you deal with those situations? Let's start with Alex.
For the first part of that question, you know, if we're down 2-3, and we need to...
Sorry. Quick interruption. Both on a personal level and as an organization. Go ahead.
On a personal level, I think it breaks down to what we were just touching on about the team, you know. Their mentality and atmosphere really affects your, you know, emotions at that time. And if you're down to and you really need to catch a win, you can't be negative, because that little spark of negativity, you know, will just spread like the plague amongst your ranks, and you don't want that at all. You need to keep at least neutral, you know. As far as long term is concerned, I mean, we've all been playing for a long time at this point. I think we all have our ways of coping with burnout, whether it be playing other games in between, or taking a little bit of time off, or trying a silly mech to see if it'll reignite some interest somewhere in weapons that you've never used before. Machine guns and LBXs and such, you know. But I don't know what else to add to that.
Okay. Thank you. Grimlock, how about you?
For myself personally, I tend to get away from MechWarrior. If I'm getting angry with it, I'll step away. I'll play something else, whether it be another game that's online multiplayer or not. Sometimes no, sometimes yes. Most recently, Diablo 3. Go get it. Great game. On an organizational level, I would say that it's something we're still working on. We tend to beat ourselves up a lot when we lose, especially when we're losing, you know, to SJR and Swords and 228 and, you know, these other teams that are all within, you know, arm's distance of being right there. It is tough. We're getting better about it. You know, generally at the end of all of our drops, we'll do a debrief and sort of go over what happened in each drop and where we made our mistakes and where we can improve. You know, tends to be sometimes we get a little, you know, I wouldn't say, I'm trying to think of the word, demoralized when we lose the first game against, you know, like SJR, like in MRBC a couple of weeks ago, we lost the first game and then we won the second, lost the third, and then won the fourth. You know, I mean, that's just shows that we're making progress and not getting demoralized over a loss. So, you know, it just takes time, and I think it takes, you know, a group of guys to get together and realize that we're still capable of coming back to get the win.
Okay. Raffle Waffle, how do you and 228 deal?
Oh, on a personal level, I watch the Sticky Buddy dub video if I'm in a bad mood.
Oh god, please link that for chat. I don't know what it is.
Oh, hold on, I'll Google it after I'm done talking. But seriously, like, there are just a couple things that I go to if I'm in a bad mood, and I'm just like, all right, do this quick. Or I have Quake Live installed on my computer, and honestly, if I have a bad drop in MechWarrior, I go and I play a couple rounds of Quake Live, and then I go back to MechWarrior. I just feel better because it's a completely different game. But on a team level, it's way harder because you have, like, it's not just you, and it's not just your personality. It's 11 other people in your group that you're trying to convince to be in a good mood when they're down 2-1. Sometimes in a situation where you feel like you shouldn't be down 2-1. And that's hard. Like, especially losing to a team that you feel you're better than. Excuse me. it's rough. So for me, I always try and just stay positive. There's a lot you can hear in a person's voice, and keeping that positive note in your voice is what I try and stick to, because people can hear that.
Last but not least, Mag.
So if on a personal note, I try to just teach myself to get over it somehow. Sometimes it's if I start feeling the rage, I just back away right away before it gets to that point. If I'm just playing solo, because solo is honestly where a lot of the rage comes in. In a match, I might get pissed off, but it's not so much rage anymore. But when I'm soloing or playing fours and just having a bad day, not hitting shots, getting my head blown off, just terrible play, that's when I'm most likely to get pissed off. So I try to leave that. Now during a match, if I'm kind of feeling the rage come on, I just try to really focus on the next move, and it hasn't really happened that much in matches. So sometimes I get pissed off if people aren't listening, and that's probably the most rage-inducing right now when that happens, because play-wise, I'm gonna die. Sometimes I'm gonna have terrible games, whatever. But as a drop commander, I'm always trying to focus on what we need to do as a team to win. So when that happens, I mean, it's just it's gonna happen sometimes, but I just try to, after if it ever happens, I try to reflect back on it and say, okay, it didn't need to happen. I think I read a lot about how to deal with it, because, like I said, it was a problem for me for a while, and it finds its way in every once in a while. But I think the biggest thing is if you just focus on, and we were talking about this on our forums recently, if you don't focus on the outcome as much, you just focus on each individual moment, you tend to stay away from getting angry. So instead of worrying about the shot that just hit you, worry about your next shot, or worry about dodging the next shot, and don't be so focused on the previous outcome. Just try to focus on playing well.
So stay calm, stay cool, focus on the moment and analyze is what you're saying?
Yes, just try to play in the moment. I mean, if you're raging, you're not in the moment anymore. You're outside of it. You're worrying about what just happened, and you're pissed off, and because what happens in 2 is you start raging, and the first part of raging is you're probably going to tense up. As soon as you start tensing up, you're going to miss more shots. So now you're really going to get pissed. And then you're gonna want to go get that kill, because you want to show people that you're better than you just played that previous game, or just that shot, or something like that. It's kind of like in the Street Fighter games, when someone just missed a move and then they throw the move right away again because they want to prove that they can do it. So you start doing those things, and now you really start getting hurt, or you really start fucking up, and now you're really getting pissed off, and it's an endless cycle. So you have to cut off that cycle right away and just start worrying about the next shot and not be focused on the outcome.
Sounds easy.
It does sound easy, but it's yeah. I mean, you're hinting it's very hard to do, and it is, and I don't always do it. But I think the more that you tell yourself that's what I'm trying to do, and the more you try to catch yourself when you start going down that cycle and cut it off right away and focus on the moment, you have to do it in practice. If you don't practice it, then you're not going to have it for when you need it.
So something that you brought up, and I don't see it in series notes here, but how do you guys deal with like a player that's a problem? I mean, we talked about not having assholes, but occasionally you can have a player who doesn't necessarily listen to every call you make, or like second guesses shit you say. Like, how do you guys deal on a personal level with other players, especially ones who are like quote unquote subordinate to you?
Let's start at the bottom again, Alex.
I think knowing your team is really important. People will have patterns, and they'll react to situations different ways, and you get used to the way they react. And as a team, you learn how to handle things internally. It's a lot more difficult when your battle commander gets upset, because that ripples through your ranks a lot more than if just someone else's. But usually, you either pull them aside and say, "Hey, man, just calm down. We know we're doing wrong. We're trying to analyze and adapt." But emotion always takes its head over logic a lot of the time. When someone's seeing red, they just need maybe a few seconds out of channel to cool down a little bit. And remember, we are playing a game. It is competitive, but we're not going to win if we're all pissed off,
Grim, how about you?
I mean, for us, the way we handle anybody that's sort of getting out of line is, try and do it privately. Either take them after a match or after a series of matches, talk to them about it, what was going wrong, what we're going to do to fix it. And if they're having personal issues, generally handle it through private messages or something like that. Definitely don't like to call people out on the spot. Sometimes it does happen. I know myself when I'm DCing, I have called people out, and it's something I'm working on as well. Like Magician said, I have a problem with rage, especially in pugs. And previously, when I was DCing for Antares, I did a very poor job of managing my anger. So, and it's something I've worked on over the last year, and I just recently got back into being a drop commander just about a month and a half, 2 months ago. So I feel like I've made taken strides into being a little more calm and collected. Definitely throughout the matches. When we've done played SJR and gotten B3-0, that's when I let go.
Have you had to deal with specific players and getting them in line, or is it more you find that you just have to deal with yourself?
Oh, I'm dealing with myself constantly, but mainly it's Blackie Flawless. He's generally the thorn in BSK's side. Always out of position and always having to be corrected. So yeah, there's individual players, mainly just Blackie though.
Incoming chat rage in 3, 2. Moving
no, give it 30 seconds, man. Twitch chat's delayed, remember?
Right. Well, let's let Meg answer the question, and then maybe the chat rage will be there.
So, I mean, part of it is in our recruitment, and one of our questions we ask people in our recruitment is, how do you deal with things when they go wrong? Like if you see a mistake if you made, or someone says you made a mistake, how do you deal with that? I think that helps with some of it. We have people who are more rage-ish than others and get pissed off and call people out. I mean, it happens, so it's an expectation too on this team that's not okay. So I think because in the team we have that rule, like we don't do that. When someone does that, everyone you can hear everyone almost freeze up because it's not what we want. I usually will PM somebody after it happens a little bit and just be like, hey, relax, and we'll talk, try to talk about later, especially after the match is over. We can talk about that stuff because my thing is whenever people are starting to get pissed off after a drop, like if we just lost a drop, and I'll just say, hey, all right, next game, let's start focusing next game. We got to get this builds out. Let's get this stuff done. And then it's just the quick thing of, we'll win. Just reminding people that we can still win no matter what.
Okay. Ruffle, do you have any answer for your own question?
I kind of asked it because I was unsure as to what to do. The most of my rage in competitive play comes from people, especially people who I consider friends. Occasionally, like, you have somebody who you consider your friend and they like second guess you in like a very important moment. It's hard because it's like, dude, you're supposed to have my back, etc., etc. And so I kind of asked that question because I'm unsure how to deal with it in certain times. But what I usually do is I just take somebody aside after a match and be like, look, I respect your opinion, I respect what you're trying to do, but as a drop commander, this is on my head at the end of the day. And if you listen to what I say and we lose, then it's my fault, and that's okay, because I'm willing to take the responsibility. But if you don't listen to what I say and we lose, then I don't know if I made a bad call or if you not listening to me fucked up. So
that's why ranking always gets messy, yeah.
Raffle, what happens when players are AFK at the start of a match?
They get a month competitive ban from my drops. Did you see that video?
Oh yeah, I saw that video. I was laughing the whole time.
I'm one of his groomsmen in real life.
That's a 24-hour TeamSpeak.
I was like, dude, fuck off, dude. God damn it. No, I don't ban people from TS because that's mean, and then you can't get in touch with people you might need to get in touch to. But I punish them in terms of playing.
Anybody else have any similar experiences, or?
I'd just like to quickly add that this current question business was a terrible idea because I'm terrible at spelling, just like on the fly, and I'm not really paying super close attention to it, but I have to type up every one of these questions. So, I need to rethink that one really quick, but yeah, next question, Siri.
Okay, well, we've sort of jumped ahead of the schedule, but... Okay, I'm going to retweak this slightly. we've been discussing recruits and what we look for and the sort of principle and standards we expect. But out of the qualities that you say would make a successful player, how many of those are teachable and how many of those just have to be inherent? Starting from, let's switch up. Mag, you're first.
Yeah, so inherent skills of gamers, no. I mean, there's a few things that can work in your favor to get you ahead in the very beginning. So you might ride up the curve really well at the start. For example, let's just say with this MWO, I could say I had inherent skill at the beginning because I had played MechWarrior 4 even recently, so I was already kind of ready for some of that. And I was playing a little bit of MWLL. So right away, I have that jump on other people, but it's not because I was born with that skill. It's just because I had it already there from the other games. I don't worry about inherent skill of players. I don't really care about it. When we were recruiting people right away, the initial thing, we were just asking people that wanted to play to win, and then we'd see what they were capable of doing. As for being teachable, the people who are teachable are the people who are willing to listen and talk and discuss ways to improve. Most of the teaching that we do at this point is a little. We teach tips and tricks and stuff from each other, but we get them from each other playing fours and just trading ideas. But a lot of it comes down to tactics, like how we're going to play those situations, how are we going to react to situations, those types of things. Some people have a little bit better inherent skill, perhaps, but I honestly think that has mostly to do with playing to win. Like, if you decide you're going to play to win, and you see you're not winning, or you see someone else is a better Highlander player than you, but you know you have to be able to be good at the Highlander, then you're going to sit there forever and learn how to play the damn Highlander well. It's the people who just kind of say, well, they're better than me, so I'm going to go and just play some other mech, or I'm not going to learn how to do that at the highest level because people are already better than me. Those are the people who tend not to become very talented players. So I think that if it's inherent, the inherentness is the desire to get better, but I don't think that's necessarily an inherent trait.
So, like Laurie is saying in chat, it's not so much training that we do, it's kind of like a mutual workshop. Is that a fair assessment?
I would say, especially at this point, we don't take on new players. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We don't take on new players. I don't think anyone in this room takes on new players other than, casual side 228. But I mean, they get worked up through the ranks for how long before they can even see a 12-man game, you know what I mean? So if we're talking about teaching, we're talking about what Madge was saying, tips and tricks, things that maybe your unit does specifically that others don't, and then you have to learn their strategies and their play styles. But anyone who's coming onto any of our teams has been playing, not necessarily for a long time, but has been proven, at least in Pugs, to have a decent skill and knowledge and understanding and awareness of the game.
What I would say is that you bring people in based on natural ability, what they already have. And you keep them on how well they learn, how well they adapt to what they're playing with and who they're around. Because, a lot of you have seen it, 228, we like running Gauss rifles. That's just something that we found works for us. And there are pilots that just didn't mesh with their play style. And it's not that they don't play with us anymore, it's just like, it's harder, it's good to be able to teach someone, is what I would say. But I don't think that the ability to teach somebody is what initially attracts you to a player. I think their natural ability is what you first go for, and then their lasting quality is their ability to adapt and learn.
Question for you. Is it natural ability, or is it current ability level?
Current ability level. Yeah, it's current ability level. It's not, because you don't care what they were like before. If somebody came to me and they were, headshots every single time with a Gauss rifle, I wouldn't care if they started the game buying locusts and then bought dragons and just worked their way up from there. I don't care how bad you used to be as long as you're good now. And I'm willing to teach players. That's something, it's hard for me, I'll admit. I have a rough time teaching people sometimes. But I'm willing to do it because I know that there are people out there who aren't necessarily innately gifted, but have the ability to learn and the ability to get better.
For myself, I think a lot of it comes down to just natural ability to play I mean, any game, I think there's some people out there that can just pick up a controller or keyboard and mouse and just hop right into any game, and after a few matches, sort of start picking up on it. That's what I consider a natural ability. And then you got ability level within the game at that time when you find them. Like I've found some players in there that are like really great light pilots, and then you pull them in. We do a certain way running our lights. I'm sure everybody here has their own different, strategies and all that, and we all teach that to the players we bring in. Where was I going with this? But you can teach them your own ways of doing things, and then whether or not they learn and pick up on that is whether or not you keep them. But for BSK, I mean, we're really not bringing in green guys that just bought a trial mech and trying to teach them how to play the game. We're looking for people that are already established.
What we should all do is we should all form like a third rank of unit where we just do that. We find people that like teaching other players, and we get them to train people so that then we can recruit from those trainees.
The War Room Dojo?
I'd like to do that with devs.
That would be a fun experiment.
Teach them about the game.
I do notice one thing about the answers, though, is that we're talking sort of organizationally that we don't train. Is that because, well, I know on our part it's because we don't need to train, but is it still possible to train to this level for just about anybody if they put in the time? Just a quick yes/no going around.
Yes.
Anyone? No. It's not possible to train anyone to be as good as we are.
No.
It's possible to train
individuals.
Yeah, they're like given time and innate ability. So that's the thing. There are people that just suck at video games. Like that's just like you can't get around it. There are people that are just bad, and no amount of time is going to necessarily make them good. It's the same with sports. It's the same with singing or dancing. You can just be bad at shit. And so I think that definitely applies to players. But
sort of though, because you don't know. You never know. I've seen guys at various games that are terrible at them, and they seem to have no natural ability whatsoever. But you know what? They stick with it, and they're practicing an hour or 2 hours a day, and they practice 5-6 days a week, or they're practicing every day. And by sticking with it, they finally pick it up. Something clicks, and they get it, and they might become one of your best players at some point, or they might become just one of the best players in the game. And there's people like that in pro sports where they'll talk about how they were not good when they first started playing that game, and they were on the bench all the time. Maybe they were the bench all the way through high school, then they walked on to college, and things started to click for them. So yes, there's people who are going to have the natural inclination, are going to be better. There's people who are going to seem like they suck. But if people have the desire to become one of the best, I think just anybody has a desire and the means, by means I mean the time, can do it.
And so I agree with you on that, but do you think that that's teaching or motivation? Because I would argue that you can't just teach somebody without motivation. And if you see it within yourself, it's easy to have that motivation to get better at something. But what I was thinking was that it seems really hard to teach somebody with your first impression is little skill. Do you understand what I'm saying? The situation you're talking about comes down more to personal motivation than it does to somebody teaching you how to do something.
If they're teachable, which means willing to be taught, I think that you can teach anybody to be a high-level player. Maybe they're not going to be one of the best, but they can become a high-level player.
They can be, in the words of professional sports, a role player.
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, to me, that kind of makes sense in that it goes back to our discussion about how many people put in the effort to be good. So even a not inherently talented player could get quite good relative to the general populace if they put the time in. And I think it's like any skill, I could be naturally inclined at, say, water polo, but I have never tried that in my life, and I wouldn't know. So, Anywho, anybody else on that topic, or?
Good.
Okay. So this discussion has sort of ranged to slightly outside MWO in general, and we've discussed just sort of the rage issues that people had. We've discussed that people view it as a skill that can be taught, and just like any skill. And would you say that there are, or have you found any additional positive benefits outside of being directly applicable to MWO? And let's start this off with Raffle.
Sorry, I'm typing up the question.
Okay, Alex.
Outside benefits of MWO?
Yeah, like, do you feel more disciplined, focused? Have you...
Depressed,
Is your bedroom
maybe.
better?
No, I'm joking. No, other than I keep going back to my team, man. I love these guys. Been playing with them for almost 2 years, most of these guys. You know, we have triannual meetups in different parts of the country, you know. It's great to have friendships built in this game that can extend outside of it. And, you know, now I would consider a lot of these guys real life friends, you know, and that's a great thing.
Aura invited
to play
me
this game, you know?
to the one you guys had, and was it Cincinnati?
Yeah, that was not so long ago.
Because I'm a Midwest guy. Yeah, I remember that.
But you didn't go.
No, dude, I was in school. I was busy as shit. Are you kidding me? Can't just, like, randomly leave for a weekend.
And through the way this game is going, you know, I think that team friendship really keeps you going in a game that's struggling for such a long time. And, you know, we've built this little beautiful community, and we're all struggling with the game in hopes that it'll one day be the thing that we want it to be, and fingers crossed. But
Perfect example of that is, how many people in the Mercstar TS play Diablo 3 together? Like,
everyone.
fucking everyone. Like, Diablo 3 came out, and we're all like, we need a break. Everybody joins Diablo 3 groups together and has a blast. I mean, it's a great community for a lot of the competitive players. I think that anybody who isn't a part of that is kind of missing out.
Grim, how about you?
You know, outside benefits, I would say, you know, I look at it like, if I'm able to commit to this game and to play at this level, you know, I try and apply that same commitment to everything I do in my life, as far as work and school, and trying to be there for my family. So I look at it as a commitment, you know, trying to do the same thing that I'm applying to MWO and vice versa, you know, just getting better all around as a person. And as far as the community goes, you know, the guys over here at BSK, we've gotten quite huge with the addition of Warden, Crusader, and our EU team as well. You know, I enjoy playing other games outside MWO with them. As Raffle said, Diablo 3 ended up making a channel. Been running 4s in Diablo 3 all the time this week.
It's beautiful.
It's nice that the group size is the same.
Yeah, 4-mans. The better 4-mans.
You can just lie to your higher ups and be like, yeah, I'm going to play 4-mans right now. Totally gonna practice my Crusader.
Yeah, we're practicing 4-mans. T1.
Meg, what about you?
I would say in ways, yes. I think that just knowing how to get better at something can help you in any other endeavor you're trying to go after. So as soon as I kind of figured out ways to get better at MWO, or especially with MechWarrior 4, I've been able to apply that to other games, because I take that approach to it. I'm like, you know, I suck now, but if I just keep with it, maybe I can be good later. And it's frustrating, and you guys talking about the people who have natural skill. It's frustrating when you jump into a game and you're playing people and they just seem to kick your ass, and you're like, you just started playing this game today. You know, they might just have a little bit of natural ability, but what you find is that if you just keep going with it, you'll get better in the long run than them. And I think that applies to just about anything that you're doing. And if it's subject matter, if it's your work, yeah. I mean, as it comes to leadership skills too, I think when you're running units and calling drops and stuff, leadership skills that you learn doing that can apply to your rest of your life.
Fun fact, I'm actually on one of my other monitors right now. I have an application open I just got nominated for a on-campus leadership award. So I'm not going to say that that's directly like in response to MechWarrior, but it's certainly applicable to this topic. So,
Hey, Raffle, is it applicable to your ability to grow hair?
hey man, just because not all of you can grow beards on the top of your head doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me.
Shots fired.
Somebody,
Okay.
no. So the other day, somebody was like, "Yeah, and Raffle wears his hair upside down." I was like, "What are you talking about? You guys just wear your beards upside down." Can I say I'm bald? Like, there's nothing up here. Like, it's kind of there, but not really.
It'll happen to the most of us.
Yeah, but you're not. Well, I mean, maybe you are, but I'm 21, man. Going bald when you're like 20 and a half years old is a little bit rough.
Actually, isn't it very, very smooth?
No, actually, because like there's the smooth part, and then I'm actually really bad off because I have this kind of ring right here of really thick hair. So if I grow my hair out, because I'm
We're still talking about your head, right?
yeah, we are. If I grow my hair out, I'm really tall, so I can pass off like I have hair if I stand up straight, because then nobody can see past that like line of really thick hair. But I can see, and it just makes me sad the whole time.
Oh, is it like your classical friar's hair?
No, it's not on the back. It's actually just right here. It's like it's where you'd normally go, like if you just had a complete bald spot on the top of your head. But I still have this line of really thick hair across my forehead. It's super unfortunate.
Okay. And with that, I think it's kind of clear that I've gotten through the list of questions that I wanted to ask.
Yeah. So there's a bunch more to this actually. So I'm not sure what you guys, what your availability is like, but we should try and do a part 2 because I think it'd be good to get through the rest of the questions Siri had. So at some point.
Right. This part 1 has been more like from a personal player perspective, and drop 2 was going to be more about just drop calling and the sort of challenges that presents. But yeah, for the moment, if any of you have any points, or if there are questions from chat, we'll take 5 minutes and then we'll wrap this up.
There was something I was trying to remember to ask. Oh. Alright, let's check chat. Thank you, Siri, using the Steeljag chat, all caps. Does chat have any questions? Siri, why are you yelling? Chat wants to know.
I am not yelling. This is my default tone of voice.
Yeah, I thought that was Siri was just always yelling.
Dude, Siri is actually the most monotone. So, like, Siri and I were having a theory discussion about books last night. I mean, we're huge nerds, don't worry about it. But his excited voice is exactly the same as his, like, upset voice and his serious voice. It's just, like, a little bit quicker.
Fuck you, I'm blaming the mic and replacing it as soon as I can. And we'll see if that's true or not. And if it is true, then I'll cry myself to sleep in the same monotone voice.
I lost my voice last weekend, and I logged on, and I just, like, somebody made fun of me, and I was like, I'm just gonna tell everybody that I got a new mic. So, like, hopped in a channel, I was like, oh, what's up, guys? And they're like, who is that? I was like, it's Raffle. Like, dude, you sound, like, totally fucked. He's like, oh, I just got a new mic. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It was pretty good.
We do have one serious question from chat, and this is gonna wrap it up. How do you, as the competitive community, make yourselves approachable to the pug or casual players?
I do this show. Like, that's seriously it. I'm terrible about that, to be completely honest. Like, I'm terrible about promoting my unit or making the competitive scene look easy to join, like, and looking for new people. I'm just like bad at it. But I do this, and that's my 2 cents.
You know, we have people like Tony who are pushing things like Merrick Civil War, which is a great platform for introducing new teams, you know, who want to test the waters at 12s without too much commitment. You know, we have the Pyre teams going on. If they don't like it, they could just drop out without affecting the overall campaign too much, which I think is a great stepping stone and platform for these guys. But I find that most of the problem comes in with the exposure. You know, if they don't know it, then where are they going to find it? And I think adverting and getting people more aware of the community and where to find where it's going on is the more important part. We need to start pushing out there towards people to get more known, more players involved.
It's a good point. Grimlock, anything?
Was it Darius's question?
Yes, it was.
Um,
I can come back to you if you want.
yeah, go ahead and ask Matt. Flying by seat my pants.
Meg?
Well, Jaeger does on his stream. I forget, is it Mondays then? Is that Mutual Monday, where he invites people to play 12s with him? That's one way for people to get involved. I think as a team, as Gloria was saying, we do put out all our match videos. We stream everything, including our comms. So if people want to know how we do things, it's pretty much right out there. I think besides that, it's really difficult unless people want to approach you, because I'm available if someone wants to email me or message me. I mean, I'm pretty easily contactable. I'm on IRC or email. I mean, I'm looking at it all the time. So it's, but a lot of people aren't really going to go out there and be like, hey, how do we improve this? How do we sort this stuff out? Most people just aren't really that interested in playing at that type of a level and dedication. So if people are interested in improving, then it's pretty easy. Just email me, or anybody else I think here could answer a lot of the questions to get you on your way. But I don't really put myself out there as a person like, hey, to contact me, or I'm going to teach you and stuff. But speaking of that, actually, now I say that, I'm tempted when I get back from vacation to make some videos talking about drop commanding and playing, being a better team player in open games and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to do some of that to give back a little bit.
Now I'm actually ready to answer the question. I think MRBC is doing an excellent job of actually putting all those videos out there and organizing that. I think that's a great start. Magician, like you said, making videos and putting them out there. I know there's a lot on Outreach HPG doing various things, as far as from building mechs to actually gameplay videos. I know when I was in Antares and the old Pop-Tarts of yesteryear, Gauss Rifle 2 PPC, mechanic problems. I made videos for my unit. I never released them, but I made videos for Antares before. And I mean, I guess that doesn't really apply to the public, but it's something that I could have released. So I think, just keeping on doing that in the videos and MRBC.
Rafa, you already went, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, what I'm going to say, I think what Jaeger does with the stream is quite excellent. Not just the Meat Show Monday, but if new players hop in there, he is more than happy to answer any questions. And I've seen the same thing from like all the competitive streamers, Immy, Twinkie, Grim. I'm not sure how many of your guys stream, but they are approachable. It's not like we're some, like, we've been going over this. We're not jerks. We're not assholes. We deliberately kind of cull those out. So the only thing holding us back from being approachable, really, is, in my mind, like, people's willingness to contact us. We're not, like,
elitist.
aloof.
It's
or
a two-way
alien.
street.
Yeah.
It works both ways.
For the record, like, if you weren't sure, we're all here to be talked to. And yeah.
I would say it's about getting the content out there.
Go ahead.
I would just say, getting the content out there, like Magician said, getting those videos, pushing that stuff up. Maybe we could do something like a Q&A session, on Outreach, or do a war room where it's just question and answer.
I'd do that. That'd be fun. Might not be very long.
Might not be very long. Hey, we can drink again.
No, because then it'll go 3 hours. Then it'll be plenty long.
Oh, I think that gets us through pretty much everything. So
yeah, I agree.
Thank you, Magician, Grimlock, and Black, for coming out. And let's do shoutouts.
Hell yeah. Start with go in reverse order like always. So Black, start us off.
What a shoutouts, you guys leave me in the loop here.
You really? Okay.
Promote yourself.
Promote yourself or your unit or anything you think is important. The most notable exceptions would be Kyle, who gave a shout out to Lemon Muffins, and Eagle Falconhawk, who gave a shout out to Heavy Girls, I believe. Other than that, people tend to thank their unit. Curvy, there we go.
Alright. Well, I'll give a shout out to my buddy Twinkie Overload, who dropped a fucking 1600 damage game over the faction weekend. God damn, that's a big score.
impressed. Not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
man, I was hands down impressed. I haven't seen a score like that in a while.
Damn.
In a cataphract, what?
Really? Not in
Yeah,
like
man.
wow. Holy shit. Well done, Twinkie. A round of
Yeah,
applause
man,
for
thank you.
everybody. All right, Grimlock. How about yourself? Some shout outs.
All right, my shout out goes to the return of Xander Stoneface, and
He's back?
He's playing again. Yes, he actually DC tonight. So
Oh, I'm so excited.
and one other shout out goes to BSK EU. Probably should be back in the competition here in the next couple of months. Things are looking good for our EU team.
I just had to post about how happy I am about Xander being back. First mistake I ever made on War Room was misspelling his name, so decent. All right, Madge, shout out.
How about a suck shout out to the fact that Lords and SWK are playing next week, and I won't be here to watch it. So
Oh, no.
I'm looking forward to watching that when I get home.
What
and
day
with
is
the
that?
full team, so. It's
Tuesday, I
what,
think.
Tuesday, April
Siri?
1st or something.
Siri,
I told you about this last night.
do you know? Are you gonna be busy?
Yeah, Tuesday at 9.
Mag, when is our Clan Ghost Bear game?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
God damn.
Siri, come on, you can miss that.
Yeah, but Mag's not there.
Damn it. Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Meg.
we
Appreciate it.
can, like, speedcast it right after or something.
Fair enough. It's more fun to do live, though. Alright, Siri, your shoutouts. Thank you for running the questions tonight.
My shout out is going to chat. My shout out is going to chat for being great, asking good questions, and just giving us the support to be here live. So, thank you for watching, everyone. It's been great.
Yeah.
Wait,
Ruffle,
can I make
your
another
turn.
shout out real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's gonna be a not a little obscure one, but a little shout out to IGP for finally kind of reaching out to the competitive community and asking how they can help us out a little bit more. Yay! Okay, thanks.
No, yeah, I completely agree. My shout out, as always, goes to you guys. Thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate it. Thanks to Siri for coming up with this topic idea. It was a super dead week in terms of information and things happening, and Siri came to me and was like, I have this idea, and I was like, this is a super fucking good idea, let's totally do it. So thanks to Siri, thanks to all the guys on the show, thanks to everybody who came to watch, and a specific shout out, I'd really like to thank everybody who helped out with constructive criticism about what we could do better. I think this episode went pretty well in terms of flow and stuff like that, so please keep that coming. I really appreciate it. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't want to make it good. As I think we established, we want to be the best at what we do. So let me know if there's stuff I can do better. Let me know ideas about this overlay. This, I kind of like it, I kind of don't. This patch here goes away to reveal like information off Reddit and stuff like that, but I'm still looking to make changes. So thank you. I think that the 5-man thing kind of works better discussion, stuff like that. So we'll try and get the second half of this on kind of mechanics and builds for you next week, along with some patch notes. So thanks again, and yeah, catch you guys later.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.